Alright guys, welcome back to the shop. It's been a while. Since my airplane and my radio are in California right now, coming back from Kentucky, bored out of my mind. So let's make an Aerojet. We're going to turn an AeroScout into a twin 64mm A10 engine pod, blah blah blah. Now before you just start calling it an Aerojet, if you see my tablecloth, I represent a company called Global Jet Club, and their fiberglass products are called Aerojet. So no, we can't just go ahead and call it Aerojet. It's AeroScout Jet, or whatever you want to call it, something else. But you know, I can't just say Aerojet or call it Aerojet. I probably can, and I can put a sticker on it, but you know, we shouldn't be doing that. Anyway, we have a new AeroScout right here, hasn't been touched. And then I have another one that I started to play with a little bit. And then I'll show you what I'm doing. First of all, not really needed, but it's preferred if you do that. There's a servo tray out there on Thingiverse for this airplane. To move the servos back a little bit, I would go ahead and print one out if you can, or have one of your buddies print one out, put some servos on it. What it does is it allows you to move the servo tray a little bit further back. And what that's going to help you with is the battery. The nacelles I bought are from eflite twin 64mm A10, and they're 6S. Now I like to use, you can use the one from Horizon. I think theirs is 4S. But basically, here's an AeroScout with a servo tray already on it, and you can see I moved the servos back a little bit. So what happened the first time I built one of these, went 140 miles an hour, we were trying to do 160, and then it ripped out the wing holder right here. It basically ripped it out of the fuselage. It couldn't hold the weight at that speed. So this one's gonna have a carbon fiber spar on it. And the rod, is what, about 3/16? Just basically put two holes on the side and pass the rod through. And to make it a little bit stiffer, what I'll do is, before I'm done it, I'll put a little piece of wood right here. Obviously, then drill the hole and then put the spar through. That way it holds that spar a little bit better. But basically, I was trying to hit 150 before it ripped out the wing out of the fuselage. And then, well, here we are with version 2 and 3, or whatever you want to call it. Since I buy this stuff whenever I see them in RC Universe, or excuse me, RC groups. I saw one for sale that was empty, and since I already crashed one when the wing fell off, what I'll do is I'll just take the motors out and swap them over to that one. And then once that arrived, like, man, like it arrived probably Friday, and Saturday I saw a great deal of one with the motors and the speed controllers, and I just went ahead and bought it. So now I got two AeroScouts over here ready to be transferred over. Now the back of the fuselage here, it's about 1 inch wide right here, and you want to put the motors going forward a little bit, kind of like so. And what happens is you want to have it about 2 inches. You want to cut about 2 inches of foam and have the foam, the motors come about 2 inches forward on the fuselage. If not, if you use a 6-cell battery, you're gonna end up being tail heavy. Yes, I did say tail heavy because of the weight of the motors. Now this one still has the original receiver and the motor prop on it. I'm gonna take that off. Anyway, once you put in a 6-cell battery, for example, this is a 6L 4900. You might think it's overkill, but because of the motors, the nacelles and all that, it needed nose weight. It needed about 2 ounces, 3 ounces of nose weight over here. So moving putting in the servo tray and moving these servos back about 1 inch or ½ inch, whatever, will allow you to move the battery a little bit further back, and then that'll get rid of the 3 ounces of lead that was required on the version 1 in the nose. The other thing is that on the first one, I only did about 1.5 inches of cutting from the front. So then this one's going to be about 2 inches. So basically I'm going to cut to the groove on the nacelle, to the groove that's right there. these are not, I don't go ahead and do, how would you say it? Precise cuts. This is the TLAR method, or that looks about right. So yeah, let's get on with it because people ask for this. So safety glasses on, and usually I just use a Dremel and a cutoff wheel. You can also use an X-Acto knife, and like I said, I'm basically gonna cut it on the groove right there, so I can just go ahead and make a groove or make an X-Acto knife cut in the center. Now I do have to mention to you that this one does have, the eflite one does have a piece of carbon. Let me take this piece off because it's not going to be needed. That's where it mounts on the A10 where the screws hold down. There's a piece of carbon right here, or Kevlar reinforcement. That's going to have to go. You're going to have to take that off because you want to cut behind that. And basically, if you look at the rivets, you're going to go 1, 2, 3. About the third line you want to cut in there. So where the third row of rivets is, right in the middle, I'm going to slice it there to show you. So there's the cut. You can see, I don't know if you can see the rivets there, but that's the third row of rivets in the top. And I'm cutting about 1 inch wide right there. I'm not gonna go ahead and measure it right now, but I guess you could do that. And the front of the fuselage here, you want about 3 inches wide. Basically, that's what you're gonna be doing is right at the nacelle where it joins. You know, if you follow the outline right there, if you follow the outline, you want to cut off right here. So 3 inches wide by 2 inches long, and then 1 inch in the back. 1 inch back here, 2 inches long of a cut, and 3 inches wide in the front. So yeah, let's get started with that. We'll throw on some glasses and we'll do some work with the Dremel, and then I'll show you guys the results. Alright, what you actually hear cutting in there besides the foam is that Kevlar piece that I was telling you about. And it's right there. That's a piece of Kevlar that reinforces the nacelles in there. Here's part of it. Anyway, that's the toughest part to cut. If you don't got a Dremel with a cutoff wheel and you want to just go ahead and use an X-Acto knife or whatever, take your time, then that's fine. Basically what you want, like I said, you want to be able to push this into the fuselage at least 2 inches in. If not, the further back it is, the more nose weight you're going to need. So you want to push this forward as much as you can. Now my cut is not precise yet. It was just like I said, that looks about right. And what I'm gonna do is, my cut is not level or straight, it's at an angle, at an incline. So I'm gonna level it off, and then I'll measure it in there again, and then let you guys take a look at it. The bottom of the fuselage, or the bottom of the nacelle, has the shape to go around the A10 fuselage. Now, that It's gonna help you when you put this on the AeroScout, because the AeroScout is kind of right, also round right there. So that, now that I made it more or less flat, it's not a perfect cut, but you know what? It's not meant to be a full scale, I mean a scale airplane or anything like that. It's just supposed to look good. So then, this is what you want. You want to be able to push the nacelle forward like that. And if you see, if you look at the cut, what do you call it? In the back of the fuselage, or the back of the nacelle right here, fits perfectly around the contour here. You can do a more precise cut if you want, you know, measure it more properly, blah blah blah. But for my experience with the first one, it doesn't need it. Next thing you got to do is you got to sand this out, either with a Dremel or with the sand, you know, with a hand sander, and then you just want to level it off so you can glue that to the top of the empennage or whatever you want to call it for the back rear of the fuselage on the AeroScout. There's still residue from the old fuselage on this one, but basically you want a U-shaped groove on there, and then you glue it on there. I mean, I don't use any special Alright guys, we're gonna cut nacelle number 2 real quick, and basically we're just gonna do the same thing, just Dremel through it. The only thing that's hard to Dremel through is that piece of Kevlar that's in there. You can cut it off with an X-Acto or whatever, you know, basically remove it from the nacelle, but I'm just gonna cut through it real quick. Once I cut through that part, the rest of it is just snap it off. Now you can go in there and remove that piece of Kevlar. It does get in the way. Or you can just sand it down a little bit. There we go. Boom. Now this one's gonna be a little bit more fun to play with because I still have the speed controllers in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the cables and then get back on this. Excuse me. Alright guys, welcome back. Literally just spent a whole 10 minutes. Like I said, this is supposed to be, at least for me, quick and dirty. And then basically what you see is I sanded the U-shape, and I did this all with the Dremel. The other thing I did is I cut off the back of the A10 nacelle. Why? I mean, I don't know. I don't need this part because that's just basically what it screws down on the A10. But on this part, it's not needed. As you can see, there's chunks of foam everywhere from all the sanding. But basically, when you're sanding, if you're gonna use a cutoff wheel, first of all, you don't want to be at high speed. You want to be at medium speed on there, and you want to cut the angle, the U shape, and then on the front, you want to be at an angle more or less like this, because you want to point down. You want to be able to point down the nacelles in the front, and you're not aiming for down thrust. Basically, you're aiming for a straight line between the fuselage and the nacelle. As it is, the nacelles have a little bit of down thrust because of the way the tips or the thrust tubes are. If you notice, they kind of angle up a little bit. So when you speed up, if you're speeding up too much at high speed, it might want to go diving a little bit, not a lot, a little bit. But basically what you want to do is try to get a center line on there, and get it to where it's level. The fuselage is level with the nacelles, or the nacelles are level with the fuselage, however you want to do it. On the back end, you're just trying to make the contour to fit around here. I didn't sand anything on the airframe. It's all on the nacelle. And then basically once you put it in there, this nacelle came with one speed controller for both of the motors. The other one I have on there from the first one had two different speed controllers, so I just basically take them and took those and put one on each side of the fuselage right here on the outside, and then just cut a hole in the top square so I can put the cables in. With this one, obviously I'm gonna have to do put it on one side only and not both, so I'll probably go just on one side like this. Once I'm done, just glue it right there on the side of the fuselage, and then put that on there. So then this one is pretty more or less ready to be glued, and that's it. Somebody wanted a video of this, so hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good one. Any special glue, trusty old Zap is what I used on that one. You can use epoxy, you can use whatever your favorite what do you call it, a glue is. That's what I used. I'm gonna go ahead and sand this. I'll probably pause the video, and then once I gotta sand it, I'll go ahead and restart it. But basically all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create that groove on it, and the first thing I'm gonna do is just file this down, file the corner down, and just by taking off the edges of the foam like that, it's nothing special. I mean, like I said, you were taking down the edges of the foam, and then on the front or the leading edge of the nacelle, you might have to bevel it a little bit, because what you want is you want to put it in the fuselage so it's more or less level. And I'll show you what I mean right now. I just want to take some of the sand, some of the foam out so you can see it, what I'm talking about. Alright, so this is just basically to show you what I'm doing. I'm just cutting off making the U inside the middle. And what I'm talking about, having to sand maybe a little bit, what happens is the more forward or further forward you put it in the nacelle, the more it wants to push it up. Right here, this wants to ramp up the fuselage or the nacelle and make it go at an angle a little bit. So your task is to try to make it as flat as possible on there, so it's in the same plane or level with the fuselage. And the further forward you push it, the more of an incline it goes up like that, a bit like this. Of course, I'm exaggerating right now, but basically you want it as flat as possible right there. And then once you're satisfied with it, you'll go ahead and glue it. Let me go ahead and pause the video while I sand this down. Give me about 10-15 minutes and I'll start it again. Alright guys, welcome back to the mess. I'm in the shop, back to the AeroScout. Let's just call it a JetScout, so you guys can see the progress. Now remember, I'm just doing it in the that looks about right method to me, and that's basically because this is something, you know, to be fun for me, not something that I'll take too serious. Back to recap, this is the eflite 64mm A10 nacelles. I cut the angle in there, or the slot. Let's see, the back is about 1 inch wide, and the front is about almost 1.5 inches right here at the mouth. And you can take your time and do it more precisely. Mine is just supposed to be something quick and dirty and easy. I did one of these before, so I can, you know, do it again real fast. And then the main thing, there's two things you got to remember. The A10 nacelles, the tailpipe has down thrust in them. The actual tailpipes are pointing up a little bit, so that means when you give it throttle, it wants to push the nose of the airplane down. I do have a 3D printer. I'm not a genius in making the design and all that, so if one of you guys can print some straight nacelle, some straight tailpipes, hey, let me know. I got a 3D printer, but I just don't make the files, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, this is the AeroScout fuselage, and basically what you want to do is you want to sand it down at an angle or bevel, so it's actually the thrust line is what I couldn't remember or how to say yesterday properly. Is you want the thrust line to be more or less straight with the fuselage of the airplane, so you have to angle it so it kind of like tilts down a little bit on the actual foam, so it's tilted. But on the airplane, when you put it on there, you'll see that it's the thrust line is, you know, the nacelles are straight with the fuselage right there, so it's not pointing up and it's not pointing down or anything like that. It's straight on there, and you know, try to do the best you can in there. The second thing is, you know, when you're gonna glue this finally, you can take your time and do epoxy or whatever suits your mood. Mine is quick and dirty. I've done one before, and it's like I said, all I did it with was CA, and it withstood. We were trying to get it to go 150 miles an hour, and we got it to go 136, 139, and then we ripped out the wing support. It literally just popped out of the fuselage there. So hey, here's number 2. This time what I did, or what I'm doing, is I'm gonna put it in. I have different pieces of carbon fiber. This is a carbon fiber rod, 7/32, and I drilled a hole, and it's gonna go from one side of the wing joiner to the other one over here. And then what I'm gonna put in there, I'm gonna use a piece of wood on the outside, just a little square right there, to kind of stiffen it up a little bit. The only thing I've done off camera is drill 2 little holes on this piece of wood, on a scrap piece of wood, and then taking what is this? Looks like 200 grit sandpaper, and just sanded this, you know, so it's not rough or doesn't have any cuts from the actual Dremel. But also you want to give it as much paint as possible, so it makes a good glue bond in there. One of the things I mentioned about the speed controllers is that you want to, or what I did is I just glued them to the outside of the fuselage, and basically double-sided sticky tape, put it on the side of the speed controller here. This is the actual sticky tape that I had put on there. There it is, the double-sided tape. And basically what I did is I glued these on there with the double-sided tape, just like this, just like that on the outside, and then cut a slot in here so the wires go into the fuselage like so, but they're not, you know, they're not interfering with the wing. So basically I'll cut a little U-shaped slot right here, just enough to hide the wires in there. So yeah, that's it. Let's get on with this one. Again, you can take more precise measurements on yours, or take your time and cut the slot, you know, so it's nice and perfect to your liking. Hell, mine's not even straight. If you look at my cut line, it's not even straight right there. And that's just because, like I said, this is just supposed to be something quick and fun for me to play with. It's not something that I'm gonna take serious. But somebody in the AeroScout group asked me if there was a video. But you know what? Right now my airplanes are on the way back from Kentucky. So is my transmitter for the turbine jets. So yeah, why not? I'm gonna go ahead and cut the slot for the carbon fiber rod, and it's just basically gonna go like that. And I'll slice it, or I'll cut it to length right there. after I put a piece of wood on there. So let me get my glasses here, and I'm just gonna cut 2 pieces of wood. I mean, I'm not being methodical or measuring anything. There's no cut lines on there. All there is, you know, the actual what do you call it, holes that I drilled. So like I said, this is just, that looks about right. So let me go ahead and take care of that real quick. I'm gonna get the pliers so this piece doesn't fly off when it's on after I cut it. It'll probably still want to fly off, but there's one piece. I mean, it's not precise, but all I need is a little square. So there you go. There's one. Let's make the other one. There's number 2. And basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna glue these on the outside right here. What I'll do is that piece is on there. That little piece of wood is on there already. Now I don't need it sticking out or anything like that. I can leave it like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, especially not for me. So what I'll do is I'll score it. I'll put in, I'll smash it in, and then I'll just get the X-Acto knife and get some of the foam out of the way. Like I said, you can make nice, precise cuts. You can make sure they look good and all that to your liking. You can even put fill it in with a foam tack or whatever on there to make it look good. But look at that. That looks about right to me. See, it's flush right there. And all I would do now is I would take my CA, good old Zap from Paul Stenberg, or wherever you get it from. I got it from Paul Stenberg. And then I'll take out that piece of wood, put a little bit of Zap on the gap there, and some in the rod where it's going to be in the hole, and push a piece of wood back in there. Now, so I don't have to cut the carbon fiber rod. So see, there you go. Now it's in there, and I only have to cut one piece of the carbon fiber out on the other side. It's flush, and it's already glued. I'll put some CA on the carbon fiber spot on the inside, and I'll put some glue on the other side on the inside as well. I'll put the other piece of wood in there, and I'll score it, push it into the foam, or just trace it around with the X-Acto, whatever you feel like is a bit easier for you. I just put it on there and push it in. It'll make a mark. You can probably just glue it like that just by pushing it in and, you know, having it go in there a little bit. But if you want to try to hide it, well, not really hiding it, but making it flush. Just get an X-Acto knife, cut off a little bit of the foam that's sticking out right there. Push your piece back in there. needs to go. Take it back out, fill it up with CA. And there's your reinforcement there. I'll let it dry for a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and cut off the rod. In the meantime, here's the nacelle. It already has the 2 motors in it. The wires are sticking out. And we're gonna go ahead and just put the nacelle in there. I'm gonna center it, measure it, and make sure it looks good. Well, not measuring anything, I'm just looking at it to make sure it looks about centered. And if it's gonna be flat, and again, back to that principle, that looks about right. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue it in there, and we'll go from there. Now, it's not gonna need a ton of glue. It is gonna need some, you know, in the middle and the sides there for a little bit. Once you have it in place, you can go back and put some glue on through the sides. Right now, I'm just gonna concentrate on the middle, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. Make sure the cables are not getting in the way. Put it in the middle. Three wires, 3 wires. Let it cure for a little bit. Now you can speed it up with kicker. I have some right here. But since you really can't get underneath the nacelle there, or underneath the center of the nacelle, you can try to spray it from the sides. But I would just say patience and let it go, let it wait. In the meantime, hey, let's cut off the rest of that carbon fiber rod. Get rid of that. And now I don't know where to put the safety glasses, so I guess we're not cutting out that rod right now. Here they are. And now we're just gonna cut off the rest of the rod. Alright, it's out, but it is sticking out a little bit, so I'm just gonna take off, grind it close to the There we go. The support is there on both sides. The nacelle is there. You can go back and put some CA or glue, however you want it on there. I'm gonna CA the top right here, the bottom, so whatever exposed area I have. You can't overdo it because it'll just squeeze out or just drain or come out somewhere else. So you know, you got to do it slowly, a little bit at a time, and then you go from there. What you're gonna need other than that, and the speaker, like I was telling you, is I'm using a 6S 4200 or 4900. What you're gonna need to do is put it. I already took out the old battery strap. It was too small, and just put in the battery. So a new battery strap, and the battery is gonna go right around there. And oh, let me slide it back a little bit. There you go. JetScout, almost done. I know some of you are gonna want to see the speed controller, so I'm gonna go ahead and plug them up real quick, and we'll go from there. Yellow, black, red. Then the other one, yellow, black, red. There's the speed controllers again. They're already in place, so all you would do right here is either glue it or use a double-sided tape, which was what I do. I just glue them there in the top of to the side of the fuselage right there, like that, and then just make a little slit right here for the cables to go through.
Welcome to Ethos. Fail safe, not set. Switch warning. Flaps. Top elevator.
All right. Then we'll go ahead and connect it to the receiver. Let's see, just so we make sure we got the receiver working properly. We'll connect the elevator, even though it's not there, but I can see and hear the servo working since the canopy is still open. And go ahead and connect your wires, your battery. Booyah! Keep all your wires out of the way. All right, we might need to program it because it's not going anywhere right now. Oh wait, I lost my receiver. Telemetry lost there. So let me find out what's going on with the receiver, because there it goes. There it goes. Make sure I get all the stuff out of the way. The receiver's not. The receiver keeps on turning off, so I'll have to replace that. Not a big deal. There you go. You heard it stop right there. Let me get the wires out of the way. It's actually not the receiver, it's the BEC keeps turning off. If you see the green light turn on and off right there, so my receiver turns on and off. I was gonna run the engines for you, but I guess we'll have to save that for another day. The connections are loose. There you go. They're both running this forward direction or the proper direction. We're gonna go ahead and check this BEC and see why it's unplugging. Let me see if I can turn it around without it turning off. But the little green light is on right here, and as soon as I lift it or move it, it was turning off, and now it's not. So, but we'll go ahead and replace that just to make sure, and then we'll go test flight. Let's see, it's Friday 25th. I gotta go pick up my jets tomorrow from LA, so I'll probably go test flight this on Saturday, or excuse me, not Saturday, so I'm picking up Saturday, or but I'll probably test flight this either Sunday or next week, and we'll show you and see if we hit 150. If not, it's just a little fun little airplane. The only thing you gotta watch out for is now you got a neutral thrust line, or right here, meaning it's straight. You still have the nacelles giving you down thrust. So as you accelerate, it'll give you a little bit of down thrust, and you know, or down elevator or down pressure, however you want to call it. So you might have to give it a little bit up when you power up, when you go full throttle. If you're doing it slowly, it's probably not gonna matter that much. If you throttle up slowly, it probably won't matter that much, and then we'll go from there. This is just supposed to be a fun little project, fun little airplane. My buddy here locally in Tucson, Nick, did one with a 80mm fan, and that one was crazy fast, and this one was a crazy fast as well. But here we go. Thanks for watching. One of the things you'll never hear from me is that I hate people saying that on their videos. Like and subscribe. I wouldn't give a rat's behind if you like or subscribe. I'm here to give you technical videos or informational videos. If you like them and they give you information, great. If not, at least I hope it provided entertainment. Thanks and have a good one.